Talk about playing through the pain. Udo Strutinski says he was abused by a Catholic priest when he was young. He's here on the special edition of CCN Crown City News telling us his story. Udo, let's talk about the awareness. Now, this went on for 3 years, you say, this abuse. This might be a tough question. Why didn't you get away or not allow it to happen for 3 years?
Well, I can say first, I was registered as a student. I had to graduate. My mother was sacrificing all kinds of things in order to pay my tuition, which was quite expensive for us. And I was doing very well academically and wanted to finish. I liked my school and I liked the courses I was taking. I'd come to this country around the summer of 1951, and this is the summer of 1956. Okay. So my mother had trusted the Jesuits. She had known them from Vienna, where she used to like to go every Sunday to their church, and was very proud of me that I had passed the test in order to get into the high school. Mm.
So this is happening. You want to graduate, so you keep it quiet. You don't tell a soul about this?
I couldn't tell my mother because she was going through an emotional crisis of her own. She was really not having an easy time assimilating to the differences in culture here. And so she was having a lot of problems and nervous breakdowns and things. And I had to protect her. So I kept it quiet.
But it doesn't, stuff like that doesn't really stay buried too long. Did it come out in other ways?
Perhaps as I look back in my life, I find that I've always had a lot of buried anger. And this has had problems for me in finishing my education. I went and I got a doctorate at UCLA. I had a lot of buried anger with my courses, my teachers, and my program over there. I could have done it maybe 2 years faster or even 3 if I didn't have that. But,
really?
Yeah, I would speak my mind. I would just tell people off. When I felt like I couldn't take it any longer or whatever, I would just tell them off from A to Z.
How did you cope? Did you ever get counseling? Did you?
Couldn't afford it. Absolutely couldn't afford it. No, so I didn't.
So you didn't cope?
Well, no, I coped, but I coped in my own way. I tried to control my anger as much as possible, and you know, I didn't have good time with relationships. I found I didn't have many friends. I had interest in some girls at the time. But those things didn't go very far or didn't last very long.
And you think it is directly tied to that abuse?
Indeed, very much, yeah.
You ended up getting together with SNAP, right?
Yes.
The Survivors Network of those abused by priests.
That's right.
When did that happen? And is that a coping mechanism, you think, now?
Yeah, I thought it was it was very interesting. I started reading in a newspaper about that they were always having some kind of event. And so when I had that year during which I could come forward and file, I first called SNAP, and I was referred to an attorney. And then I learned that SNAP had regular meetings. So I decided to attend a meeting, and I heard a lot of people speaking out their own stories.
You knew you weren't alone.
That was the first thing that my email to SNAP got me a response immediately. And let me tell you what that email was. It was, Dear Mary, it was Mary Grant of SNAP. Dear Mary, I understand that you are taking care of people who have been abused, etc. I would be interested in learning the name of an attorney that handles cases against the Jesuit order. And I thought, you know, I was playing it very cool. Right? I didn't say I was abused. I said nothing. I just I got back this completely devastating note. I mean, it was devastating about my illusions and my protection. It said, "Dear Udo, I'm so sorry you were abused. I was abused too. Just remember this.
She knew.
It's not your fault, and you're not alone." And I was like putty. I just looked at that email and I just collapsed. I took a deep breath and I said, I got to go to their meetings.
What was that like for you when you first went?
Initially, I was in the background. I didn't even want to sit up front. There were a lot of people and you could have a seat against the wall. I did that. I listened to stories, and it wasn't until my third or fourth meeting that I felt the courage really to come forward and say something. And it was because 2 or 3 of the people that regularly shared were saying some things very, very vulnerable about themselves. I thought, you know what, I better do this. Maybe this is, if it's helping them, it could help me. So.
All right, well, we'll learn more about the Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, or SNAP, and the effects the abuse and SNAP have had on Udo when we come back. Don't go away.